Chapter 5, Arguments About Causes, from a Workbook for Arguments by Morrow and Weston. Did you know that students who sit at the front of the classroom tend to get better grades? And that people who are married are, on average, happier than people who aren't? Wealth, by contrast, doesn't seem to correlate with happiness at all. So maybe it's true, after all, that the best things in life are free. If you'd rather have the money anyway, you might be interested to know that people with a can-do attitude tend to be wealthier. So I guess you'd better work on your attitude. Here we come to arguments about causes and their effects, about what causes what. Such arguments are often vital. Good effects we want to increase, and bad effects we want to prevent. And we often want to give appropriate credit or blame for both. It won't surprise you, though, that reasoning about causes also takes care in critical thinking. So now we'll move on to Rule 18. Causal arguments start with correlations. The evidence for a claim about a cause is usually a correlation, a regular association between two events or kinds of events. So a correlation is a regular association between two events or kinds of events. So between your grades in class and where you sit in the classroom, from our earlier example, between being married and being happy, between the unemployment rate and the crime rate, and so on. The general form of the argument is something like this. Event or condition E1 is regularly associated with event or condition E2, therefore event or condition E1 causes event or condition E2. So E1 and E2 are associated, so E1 causes E2. That's to say that E1 is regularly associated with E2 in this regular kind of way, and we conclude from that that E1 causes E2. So for example, people who meditate tend to be calmer, therefore meditation calms you down. Okay? Trends may be correlated, as when we note that increasing violence on television correlates with increasing violence in the real world. So the argument following from this might look something like shows on television portray more and more violence, callousness, and depravity, and society is becoming more and more violent, callous, or depraved. Therefore, television is ruining our morals, or television is causing these things to happen in our society. Another kind of correlation is inverse correlation, and that's where an increase in one factor correlates to a decrease in another. This may suggest causality as well. So, for example, some studies correlate an increase in vitamin use with a decrease in health, suggesting that vitamins may sometimes be harmful. In the same way, non-correlation may imply a lack of cause, as when we discover that happiness and wealth are not correlated and therefore conclude that money does not bring happiness. Exploring correlations is also a scientific research strategy. What causes lightning? Why do some people become insomniacs, or geniuses, or Republicans? And isn't there some way, please, to prevent colds? I think especially this year we're interested in that. Researchers look for correlates to these conditions of interest, that is, for other conditions or events that are regularly associated with lightning, or genius, or colds, for example, but without which lightning or genius or colds don't tend to happen. These correlates may be subtle and complex, but finding them is often possible nonetheless, and then hopefully we have a handle on causes.